Howdy-ho, gamers! Expiry here, and today we're going to be discussing the Shadow Priest Burning Crusade Classic Season 1 PvP Best in Slot. And before we get started, I wanted to ask you a question of the day for this video. What are you most excited for in the Burning Crusades Classic Season 1 for Arena and PvP? What's getting you amped up? What's getting you motivated to game? We're going to kind of go in a reverse order. We're going to look at the best in slot for Season 1, and then look at pre-best in slot, and then pre-pre-best in slot, because each of these is a stepping stone to the next one. But let's get into the juice, the epics, the arena gear. So the best in slot is primarily acquired through arena points, which you get from playing games of arena, getting to a certain rating, and then having that rating and bracket, whether it's 2s, 3s, or 5s, determine the amount of points you're going to get for the week. Let's get into it. The first item on the Shadow Priest best in slot is the Gladiator's Satin Hood. There are two sets that a priest can get. There is the Satin set and the Mooncloth set. The Mooncloth being more healer-oriented, Satin being more damage-oriented. For Shadow Priest, we're going to pick the Gladiator's Satin Hood, and I have it hooked up with a plus 22 spell power and 14 spell hit rating enchant. You get this enchant from being revered with the Shah Tar reputation, which you get by doing the Tempest Keep dungeons, Mechanar, Botanica, and Alcatraz. As for the gem sockets, I have a meta gem of plus 18 stamina and 5% stun resist. This gem might just save your life on a kidney shot or a cheap shot from a rogue. And then for the other socket, a plus 9 spell damage gem. I'm using blue gems for the best in slot. You could use epic, but I don't think that's feasible for most players. And the gems give you the plus 4 resilience rating on the Gladiator Satin Hood. Beautiful item. I can't wait to get this one. It looks pretty cool too. Next up, we're going to use the Pendant of Dominance. Now, unlike arena gear, there's 5 pieces you can get plus weapons from arena points. The Pendant of Dominance is an item you get from Honor and Marks. You get Honor from Battlegrounds and World PvP, and Marks from the Battlegrounds, Eye of the Storm, Arathi Basin, Alterac Valley, and Warsong Gulch. The Pendant of Dominance is around 15k Honor. It has great damage and healing, nice resilience. You get it from the Honor vendor. And I actually have a blue gem here, plus 10 spell penetration. This is the Stormy Star of Elune. The reason for this is for the meta gem, you need 3 blue gems, and also you want some spell penetration on your gear in order to get through things like Mark of the Wild with druids being so prevalent, mage armor, to get through warlock pets so that your fear and your spells are more efficient and they can actually land. So you need hit rating and a little bit of spell pen. You need 4% hit rating plus your talents in order to have your dispels not miss on a level 70 target if you're offensively dispelling. And you can go up to probably 90 spell penetration. This gear set only has about 50 in it, which I think should be good. But of course, depending on your play style and if you find that your spells aren't getting resisted, you could run resilience gems. The reason why I'm not going for the socket bonus on the pendant is because spell critical strike rating is not very relevant on Shadow Priest in my opinion, so we're picking the blue spell penetration gem. Next up is the Gladiator's Mooncloth Mantle. Now you'll see here we have the 2 out of 5 set from Mooncloth and the 3 out of 5 set from Raiment. The reason for this is we want the double plus 35 resilience rating set bonuses. So instead of getting 5 out of 5, we're going to get 3 out of 5 and 2 out of 5 and get 35 more resilience from that. Shadow Priests are very squishy DPS casters, so you want as much resilience as you can possibly get. I've selected the Gladiator's Mooncloth Mantle as well as the Mooncloth Gloves because these 2 items give you the least amount of spell damage reduction by taking the healer gear. So you lose the least amount of spell damage by taking these items as opposed to taking the helm, the robes, or the legs. For the Mooncloth Mantle, I have it with the Aldor Exalted Enchant, plus 18 spell power, 10 critical strike. You could use the Scryers, you'll lose a little bit of spell power, not a big deal, or the Zul'Gurub enchant if you played Classic and you're Exalted with the Zandalari tribe. And again, we have 2 10 plus spell penetration gems. These 3 blue gems are going to enable your meta socket and give you that nice spell penetration that I talked about earlier. As for the cloak, we're going with the Sergeant's Heavy Cape. This is an item you can get from honor farming with the plus 20 spell penetration enchant on it. If you find that you don't need as much resilience, which I doubt will be the case, you could use PvE items like a PvE cloak in this slot, but I'm going with the Sergeant's Heavy Cape here. As for the robe, Gladiator's Satin Robe, we've already socketed our spell penetration, so now we're going to go for damage and resilience. I have a red Runed Living Ruby, plus 9 spell damage, and then 2 Mystic Dawn Stones for 16 additional resilience, plus 4 resilience from the socket bonus, and 15 resilience rating from the enchant. For bracers, we're using the General's Dreadweave Cuffs. This is another honor item with 15 spell damage enchant. You could also enchant Fortitude to get additional stamina. I think you can get 12 additional stamina on these bracers. And I actually have a hit rating gem socketed here, the Great Dawnstone. The reason for this is with the best in slot list that I'm running, this gives you a perfect 4% hit rating so that your offensive dispels land the majority, 99% of the time. So we're actually using a hit rating gem here, enabling the 2 damage spell bonus on this. And that's what we're doing for that. As for the Gladiator's Mooncloth Gloves, we are using the Mooncloth Healer variation. Again, this is so we don't lose too much spell damage with the 20 spell damage enchant. If you're struggling to get to 4% hit rating, and you need 4%, even with the Shadow Talents, because the spell is not a shadow ability, you could use the plus 15 spell hit enchant, but because hit rating is taken care of through gems and other items, 20 spell damage is going to be great for these, and we have a beautiful 70 resilience from splitting the sets. As for the belt, we're using the Honor General's Dreadweave Belt. Pretty straightforward. For the leggings, we're using Gladiator's Satin Leggings with Runic Spell Thread. You get that from being an Aldor Exalted Tailor. It's pretty pricey right now, but by the time all this is going, it should be affordable. Pretty straightforward on the legs. As for the boots, we're using the General's Dreadweave Stalkers, another honor item you can farm today with the Minor Speed plus 9 stamina enchant on it. For rings, there aren't really any PvP rings per se. There are no rings you can get from Arena, and there's only a blue ring you can get from Honor. So I actually have the Band of Crimson Fury. You get this from turning in the Magtheridon quest if you kill the 25-man raid boss. The reason for this is it has great stats, good damage and healing, and that beautiful spell hit rating. Again, if you don't have hit rating on this ring, you can just use the enchant on the gloves. For the second ring, we're using a fairly easy to acquire ring, the Seal of the Exorcist. You get this in Terakar Forest by turning in 50 Spirit Shards, which you get from farming the Manitomb, Sethic Halls, and I believe Shadow Labs dungeons. They're pretty fast to get if you're grinding dungeons or heroics. You turn in 50 of these. You can even get it while you're leveling. Really nice ring, very easy to acquire. As for the trinket, if you had to pick one PvP item to get before all the rest, you should get the Medallion of the Horde or the Alliance. It improves resilience by 20, but it's a 2-minute cooldown for removing all movement impairing effects. So it's going to remove fears, it's going to remove stuns, it's going to remove everything except silence, basically, in terms of crowd control. 8,000 honor. Farm this first. This item is amazing. You will never take it off in PvP. For the trinket, you have some flexibility here to play around. I have the icon of the Silver Crescent selected as the main trinket. You get this from farming Badges of Honor from heroic dungeons. You need 41 of them to get this trinket, but it has a great on-use spell damage boost you can use to burst your enemies and a nice passive damage and healing. There are some resilience trinkets and stamina trinkets you could substitute in here if you want. As for the weapons, we're going to use the Gladiator's Gavel with the Soul Frost enchant. Pretty pricey enchant, but 54 shadow damage on the enchant, and it'll take people about 3 weeks to farm this weapon, but I think it'll be well worth it. For the offhand, the Gladiator's Endgame, straightforward, resilience, damage, and healing, and then for the wand, the Gladiator's Touch of Defeat. So this is your Burning Crusade Classic Shadow Priest best in slot items for Season 1. Feel free to play around and mix and match some of the gems and things that work for you, but I think this is about as solid as it comes. Now, for the pre-best in slot, which is what you'll work for before you get all of this gear, it's very similar to the best in slot, except none of it is arena gear, it's all honor gear. So the helm is the High Warlord's Mooncloth Cowl. This is the healer version, but we're using the healer version because we want the plus 35 resilience, and the helm gives us the least amount of spell damage drop-off. The gems are the exact same, the enchant's the exact same. Pendant of Dominance, the same as in the best in slot list. You can farm this today. High Warlord's Mooncloth shoulder pads. So the two healer version of the items are the helm and the shoulders on the Pre-BiS list. This is the exact same as the best in slot with the enchant as well as the gems. Cloak is the same. Then we're going to do the 3 out of 5 Warlord's Raiment, where we're using the damage and healing version of the robes with 9 spell damage, 8 resilience rating. Basically the exact same as the best in slot list, except it is a rare instead of an epic. The bracers are the same, except because you can get hit rating from your weapon on the Pre-BiS, you can actually socket this with 8 resilience. As for the gloves, we're doing the same thing, High Warlord satin gloves with plus 15 spell hit rating, or plus 20 if you're at that 4% hit cap. For the weapon, it's the High Warlord Spell Blade. Offhand is High Warlord's Battle Tome, and then the wand is Wand of the Netherwing, which you can farm from Shadow Labs, even on normal. It has a great amount of stamina on it and some nice damage and healing. The belt is the same, General's Dreadweave belt. High Warlord's Satin Leggings with the Runic Spell Thread. Boots are the same. And then I have the Cobalt Band of Tiragosa, maybe a little easier to get than the Crimson Fury ring because you can farm heroic manatomes. But again, mix and match your rings, do something that you can acquire and that's fun for you. And then the Seal of the Exorcist, Medallion of the Horde, and Icon of the Silver Crescent are all the same. So very similar to your best in slot, except not arena points, has honor points. Now, the reason why I include a pre-best in slot list is because farming the amount of honor to complete this is around 200,000 honor plus a ton of marks. I play on Horde side, as you can see from the video playing in the background, and it is very slow farming honor right now. It takes about 35 minutes to get a game, and sometimes you don't even get 500 honor an hour. So if you can't grind Battlegrounds all day long to get your Pre-BiS, well, then I recommend your pre-best in slot. And this is something you can work on while you're leveling and also shortly into level 70. For the helm, we have the Exorcist's Dreadweave Hood. The place where you get the Seal of the Exorcist in Terrakar Village with Spirit Shards, you also can get this helmet. This helmet's a great starter helmet, has 20 resilience, has a meta socket, and I have a different meta gem. I have the plus 12 spell damage and minor run speed increase gem, which you also get from the exact same vendor with Spirit Shards because it's easy to obtain and relatively cheap. The enchant is, again, the Shatar Revered enchant. As for the necklace, this is an awesome necklace I found. The Potent Shatari Pendant. Just Google Potent Shatari Pendant and it'll show you the quest chain to get this necklace. 24 resilience and 27 damage and healing. Great necklace, pretty easy to acquire. I recommend it. Now, since the pre-best in slot isn't heavily predicated on farming a lot of honor, we actually have some PvE items in here, including the Frozen Shadowweave shoulders and the entire Frozen Shadowweave set. If you're playing Shadow Priest, you're probably raiding, and if you're raiding, you're probably a tailor, and if you're a tailor, you're probably working towards or already have the Shadows Embrace set, which you get from having Shadowweave tailoring. These shoulders have a ton of damage on them. Yeah, that's pretty much what's great about these shoulders. They have a ton of damage. The downside is you don't have any resilience on these shoulders, but as you work on your PvP gear, you can use some PvE items, and these are great, and maybe that extra damage will help you kill somebody before the lack of resilience gets you killed. For the cloak, I still have the Sergeant's Heavy Cape. It's pretty easy to farm out of all the off pieces, but again, feel free to take a rare cloak that you find in a dungeon or something from raid. For the chest, we have the Frozen Shadowweave robe with 15 resilience, and then I just have it socketed with damage because I'm going to be using this for dungeons and raids as well. 72 shadow damage on this robe and 2% healing from your spells, which is pretty marginal, but still kind of nice. Now, the bracers and the belt are kind of interesting. In lieu of using the Battlegrounds honor items, I'm actually using the Unyielding set, which is a crafted bind on equip set. You can buy it from the auction house or have a tailor make it for you. but the bracers are called unyielding bracers. They have 39 stamina on them, a socket, 12 resilience, and a nifty set bonus to increase resilience by 20. This will save you almost around 30,000 honor, maybe a little bit more if you use the bracers and the belt for the unyielding set. So I have these recommended for your pre-best in slot with an 8 resilience gem in there for the additional spell hit rating, which will be helpful to you, and 15 spell damage on it, or you could do all stats or something a little cheaper. I do have 2 honor pieces in here to give you at least the 2 set, including the High Warlord satin gloves with 20 spell damage. Try to farm these. I farmed these. It's about 12,600 honor. These are really good. You could, again, use a PvE item as a replacement while you work on these. The belt is the unyielding girdle with some resilience gems in there for the socket bonus of 3 intellect. You don't really need the socket bonus on this if you don't want, but it's kind of nice. And 40 resilience with the 20 plus the 20 from the set. So I'm using this belt currently. It's a very nice belt. As for the pants, the High Warlord satin leggings, I actually don't have these yet, so I'm using the Trial Fire leggings from Karazhan, but I am working on getting these. For the boots, the Frozen Shadow Weave boots, you can replace these once you get the Honor boots, but this gives you the 3 set for the 2% healing, and it has a ton of damage on it. Since your meta gem already has minor run speed, I opted for the 12 stamina enchant on the boots. For the rings, I picked the Arcane Nether Band, which I believe you get from Botanica. It's one of the Tempest Keep dungeons, and it has 15 spell penetration on it, 21 damage and healing, 18 stamina intellect. Pretty easy to farm. A good pickup for PvP, certainly. Seal of the Exorcist makes the list again, and then the trinkets are the same as before. As for the weapons, we're using the Gavel of Unearthed Secrets, which you get from being exalted with Lower City, does a ton of damage on it. You can also use the dagger from Prince Malchezaar if you're farming Karazhan and you're lucky enough to get one, but really good mace one hand. Orb of the Soul Eater from farming Heroics, 25 badges of justice, 51 spell damage from shadow abilities, and again the Wand of the Netherwing from Blackheart the Insider in Shadow Labs. So that's going to do it for the best in slot, the pre-best in slot, and the pre-best in slot. So good luck if you're playing Shadow Priest and Burning Crusade. They're not as strong as Warlocks or Mages, but they're a ton of fun. They're certainly viable, and I think you can get to pretty high arena ratings with this. I'm not a rank 1 player, but I will be aspiring to do the best I can in arena this season. If you like this video, please like the video for more. Comment if you have any questions, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. And while you're at it, feel free to check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ExpiryTV, where I stream live Shadow Priest gameplay, variety, answer questions, and just have a good time with chat. So thanks for watching the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great one. Woo!